I want you to take a second and just really think about your ears.
Yeah, we usually don't give them much thought at all.
Right. Like, just consider how you treat them on a daily basis. For most of us, I mean, we treat hearing like a simple volume dial on a stereo, you know?
Exactly.
If things are loud enough, the system is working, and if they aren't, well, the dial is broken. It's a very binary, very isolated way of looking at our bodies.
It really is.
But what if that volume dial was actually like a hidden command center? What if your ears were secretly pulling the strings on your physical balance, your mental clarity, and even your daily confidence?
It completely flips the script, doesn't it?
Totally.
I mean, we have this tendency in modern times to compartmentalize our senses. You know, eyes are for seeing, ears are for hearing, muscles are for moving. But the body, it just doesn't operate in those neat little silos.
Which is such a wild shift in perspective. And that is exactly what we are looking at today. For this deep dive, we are pulling from a really thought-provoking set of notes and research.
Yeah, some great stuff in there.
Anchored by an article titled, "Can ECHOXEN Support More Than Hearing?" Exploring the connection between hearing, balance, and mental clarity.
It's a fantastic piece.
So our mission today is to explore this surprising, deeply interconnected web of how our auditory system influences our broader well-being. And crucially, we want to figure out what we can actually do to support it.
What's fascinating here is that the underlying research forces us to realize that hearing is not an isolated function.
Right.
The ears are doing so much more than just, detecting sound waves in the air.
They're multitasking.
Exactly. They are locked in this constant high-speed communication loop with the brain. And that ongoing dialogue, it basically dictates how you navigate your physical environment, how you process complex information, and, well, how you engage with the world around you.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because to really grasp how the ear controls all these different aspects of our lives, we have to understand the physical architecture first, right?
We do, yeah.
Because we all know the outer ear catches sound. But hidden deep within the inner ear is this infrastructure that literally keeps us from falling over.
It sounds like science fiction, but it's true.
How does a sensory organ built to capture invisible sound waves also manage to be our center of physical gravity?
It comes down to this highly specialized microscopic network. It's located deep inside the skull, right in the inner ear. It's known as the vestibular system.
The vestibular system.
Yeah, and think of it as like a biological guidance system. And it is working behind the scenes every single second of your day.
Wow.
Every time you walk across a room, stand up from a chair, turn your head to track a moving object, or try to navigate an uneven sidewalk, your vestibular system is firing off millions of calculations.
I always pictured balance as just, my leg muscles and my core doing the work. I never thought about my ears.
Most people don't. Your muscles execute the movement, sure, but the vestibular system is the architect telling them what to do.
So how does it actually tell them?
It utilizes a series of tiny, fluid-filled canals. As you move, that fluid shifts around,
Okay.
and it bunds these microscopic hair cells that instantly send signals to your brain.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and this allows your brain to determine 4 crucial metrics in real time. It figures out your head position, your movement direction, your overall body orientation, and your equilibrium during motion.
That is a lot of data.
It is. But when this intricate fluid dynamics system operates smoothly, physical balance feels entirely effortless to you. You don't even think about it.
That immediately reminds me of the gyroscope inside a smartphone.
Oh, that's a great comparison.
Right. Like, how you can turn your phone upside down or sideways and the screen just automatically flips to match the orientation?
Yeah, exactly.
The phone always knows which way is up because of that little internal sensor measuring tilt and rotation. But with our bodies, I'm trying to wrap my head around how a single location, the inner ear, is managing the fluid dynamics of gravity and the mechanical vibrations of sound all at once. Like, do they interact?
Well, that smartphone analogy captures the mechanism perfectly. And the reason these two vastly different functions, detecting gravity versus detecting a voice, are co-located comes down to evolutionary biology.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they share anatomical structures and neural pathways. They're basically next-door neighbors sharing the exact same plumbing and wiring, specifically the 8th cranial nerve.
The 8th cranial nerve.
Right, which carries both balance and hearing signals to the brain. Because of this incredibly close physical relationship, any degradation in your inner ear health doesn't just muffle the world around you.
It messes with your balance.
It compromises your physical stability. A glitch in the fluid or the tiny hair cells there contributes to feelings of instability, unexpected dizziness, or just a general reduced physical confidence when you're simply moving around your house.
If you don't trust your footing, your whole posture changes. You start looking down more, you shuffle your feet, your physical confidence drops. That alone is a massive shift in how you live your day. But if the physical ear is doing all this mechanical work to keep us upright and capture sound, what happens when those signals leave the ear and actually reach the brain? There is a concept in our sources called listening effort that really caught my eye.
Ah, yes. This is a critical pivot in our understanding of the human body. We have to remember that listening is fundamentally a brain function, not just an ear function.
Really?
Yeah, the ear is just the mechanical receiver,
Mm.
The brain is the processor.
So how does that processing actually work? Because it feels instantaneous to us. Like, I hear you and I immediately know what you're saying.
It feels instantaneous, but it happens in a continuous, incredibly rapid four-step sequence.
Mm.
First, sounds must be detected and funneled by the physical structures of the ear.
Okay, step one. Got it.
Second, those mechanical sound waves hit tiny hair cells inside the cochlea, which physically bend and convert that mechanical energy into electrical impulses.
Mechanical to electrical.
Right. Third, those electrical signals are transmitted like data packets traveling along the auditory nerve highways.
Along that eighth cranial nerve we mentioned earlier.
Exactly. And finally, step 4. Those signals reach the auditory cortex, where they are actually interpreted by the brain as recognizable words or music or alarms.
Wow.
This complex translation from physical wave to electrical signal to conscious thought is happening continuously every waking second of your day.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because thinking about all that electrical processing makes me think of background apps on a phone again.
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
If your phone has a dozen apps running in the background, all desperately trying to connect to a weak Wi-Fi signal, your battery drains incredibly fast.
It really does.
The processor overheats. And not only does the battery drain, but whatever you were actually trying to focus on, the main screen, starts to lag and stutter.
Yeah.
Is this what listening effort is doing to us? Is it essentially draining our brain's daily battery because the signal is weak?
The underlying mechanism is strikingly similar. The brain is an extremely energy-hungry organ. It only has so much cognitive bandwidth to allocate at any given moment.
Right.
When your auditory information is crystal clear, that four-step processing sequence is smooth and automatic.
Yeah, you don't even notice it.
Exactly. But when hearing becomes less effective, whether that's due to age, inner ear degradation, or just trying to hear in a very noisy restaurant, the signals arriving at the brain are degraded or incomplete.
So it's like a bad Wi-Fi connection.
Exactly. And the brain doesn't just shrug and give up. It aggressively compensates. It has to borrow cognitive resources from other areas, like short-term memory or executive function, just to piece together the missing audio information.
So you aren't just hearing, you are actively solving a puzzle every time someone speaks.
You are playing a continuous game of fill in the blanks. Over time, that extra cognitive workload leads to very real, measurable mental fatigue.
That makes so much sense.
If your brain is spending 20% of its total energy just trying to decipher what a colleague said in a meeting, well, that is 20% less energy available for information retention, problem solving, or just staying mentally alert.
Which perfectly explains why someone might feel completely exhausted after a cocktail party or a long meeting, even if they were just sitting there.
Right, they weren't physically exerting themselves.
Exactly. It's not that you're losing your ability to focus, it's that your focus is being hijacked by the sheer biological effort of trying to process bad audio files.
This highlights why maintaining good hearing allows the brain to allocate its resources more effectively. When your auditory pathways are clear and the inner ear structures are supported, you aren't constantly compensating.
You save all that energy.
That's why people often report feeling significantly more mentally refreshed and present when their hearing function is operating at its peak. The cognitive drain is simply turned off.
Wait, I want to push back on something here. If we accept that poor hearing creates this massive cognitive drain and leaves you exhausted, the research suggests this eventually leads to severe social withdrawal and impacts emotional well-being. But is it really that direct of a line?
You're wondering if it's an overstatement.
Yeah, I mean, does the simple act of skipping a phone call or leaving a noisy restaurant early actually trigger a domino effect that impacts your long-term mental wellness? It feels like a bit of a leap to go from my ears are tired to my emotional health is declining.
I get that. It sounds extreme until you look at the psychological cascade that happens over time. It rarely happens all at once.
Right.
It starts as a subconscious coping mechanism. When you are constantly drained by that listening effort we just talked about,
Hmm.
your brain naturally seeks to conserve energy, so you start subtly avoiding high-effort situations.
Okay, yeah.
You skip the crowded group dinner, you let phone calls go to voicemail, you sit further back in public gatherings, and you just stop participating in the banter.
Because engaging is just too biologically expensive for your brain.
Precisely the issue. But by isolating yourself to save mental energy, you are cutting off the very interactions that keep the brain stimulated.
Oh, I see.
Conversations are dynamic, unpredictable, and emotionally rich. They are essentially high-intensity interval training for your cognitive pathways.
Huh. Conversation as HIIT for the brain. I love that.
It's true. When you withdraw, you aren't just missing out on the words being spoken, you are missing out on human connection. Over months and years, this reduced social engagement chips away at a person's confidence. The lack of stimulation impacts mood, and the overall quality of life demonstrably drops.
So supporting healthy hearing isn't just about preserving the mechanical ability to hear a bird chirp in the backyard.
Not at all.
It is about maintaining your ability to remain actively involved in the human experience.
By protecting that auditory clarity, you are keeping the door open to social engagement, which in turn indirectly supports your long-term mental wellness and keeps your cognitive networks actively firing.
Okay, the stakes we are talking about are absolutely massive. We are looking at physical stability governed by the inner ear, cognitive energy hijacked by listening effort, and emotional wellness threatened by social withdrawal.
It's a lot.
The natural burning question for anyone listening right now is, how do I actively protect and repair this system? Because it seems incredibly fragile. This is where our source material introduces nutritional intervention, and I found the mechanics of this fascinating.
The core premise here is quite logical when you think about it. Just like your heart, your muscles, or your eyes, the auditory system relies on proper nutrition to function optimally.
Right.
We are talking about microscopic hair cells, highly sensitive fluid balances, delicate nerve pathways, and constant blood flow. All of that physical infrastructure requires highly specific fuel and maintenance to prevent cellular breakdown.
The breakdown in the source highlights a few distinct nutrient categories, but I want to understand why they matter to the ear specifically.
Sure, let's go through them.
First up is antioxidants. We hear that buzzword all the time, but what are they doing in the inner ear?
To understand antioxidants, you have to understand oxidative stress, which is essentially cellular rust.
Cellular rust. Okay.
As our bodies process oxygen and generate energy, we create volatile molecules called free radicals. If left unchecked, these free radicals bounce around and damage delicate structures, like those microscopic hair cells in the cochlea that turn mechanical sound into electrical signals.
And if those are damaged?
Once those tiny hair cells are damaged, they do not grow back.
Oh, wow.
Antioxidants step in and neutralize those free radicals before they can cause that permanent cellular damage.
Okay, so it's basically chemical rust proofing for the ear.
That's a great way to put it.
The research also highlights vitamins and minerals, amino acids, and plant-based compounds.
Yeah, and each plays a highly specific structural role. Vitamins and minerals are essential for the nervous system function. They ensure the electrical signals travel down the auditory nerve to the brain quickly and without losing data.
Like good quality wiring.
Exactly. Amino acids are the fundamental building blocks for repairing proteins in the cellular structures. And plant-based compounds specifically support microcirculation.
Circulation in the ear.
Yes, the inner ear is packed with tiny capillaries that need robust blood flow to deliver oxygen and sweep away waste products.
This brings us to ECHOXEN, which the source details as a premium liquid hearing support formula containing these exact elements.
Yes, it does.
But I have to ask a logistical question here. We are very accustomed to eating protein to build a bicep or taking calcium to strengthen a femur, but feeding our ears sounds completely foreign.
It does sound a bit strange at first.
I'm honestly a bit skeptical about how swallowing an oral nutritional supplement, especially a liquid one, can physically reach and impact a tiny hidden canal buried deep inside the skull.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the delivery system is actually where the biology gets really interesting. The inner ear does not exist in a vacuum. It is entirely dependent on your cardiovascular system. Remember those tiny capillaries we just mentioned? The inner ear is highly vascularized. When you ingest systemic nutritional support, It enters your bloodstream.
Great, through digestion.
Yes, and the source notes that ECHOXEN is designed as a liquid formula specifically to address absorption. Liquids often bypass some of the lengthy digestive breakdown processes required by traditional capsules or hard tablets.
So it gets into the system faster.
It means those antioxidants, amino acids, and plant compounds can enter the bloodstream more efficiently.
So once they are in the bloodstream, the heart simply pumps them everywhere, including up into the microscopic capillaries of the inner ear.
The body's circulation network does all the heavy lifting. By improving the cellular health and blood flow of the entire body, those highly specialized auditory and vestibular pathways get bathed in the exact protective compounds they need.
To fend off the oxidative stress you mentioned earlier.
Right, to fend off that stress and operate smoothly. You are essentially fortifying the environment that the inner ear relies on to survive.
That makes perfect biological sense. But the deep dive also broadens out from there because the text is very clear that you can't just drink a liquid supplement, sit on the couch in a blaringly loud room, and expect perfect hearing.
Definitely not.
Hmm.
There's no magic bullet.
Nutritional intervention like ECHOXEN is presented as just one piece of a much larger puzzle. It introduces a complete lifestyle ecosystem like the daily maintenance habits required to protect this entire hearing-brain balance triad.
Nutrition is a powerful foundational tool, but it works in tandem with behavior. The source outlines a holistic toolkit because you have to protect the system from the outside just as much as you fuel it from the inside.
Let's run through these habits because the underlying biology of why they work is really great.
Sure.
Staying physically active. I assume this ties directly back to what you were saying about blood flow.
Exactly that. Cardiovascular exercise increases the heart rate, pushing oxygen-rich blood into every capillary of the body. That includes the inner ear and the auditory processing centers of the brain.
Makes sense. Second on the list is actively protecting your hearing. This is behavioral. It means limiting your exposure to excessively loud environments and, using earplugs when you mow the lawn or attend a concert.
Yes, you are physically preventing the acoustic trauma that tears those delicate hair cells apart.
Habit 3 is prioritizing quality sleep.
Sleep is the brain's designated recovery period. We talked about the severe cognitive drain of listening effort.
Oh, right, the battery drain.
Right. During deep sleep, the brain clears out metabolic waste and consolidates neural pathways, essentially recharging the cognitive battery required to process audio the next day.
Habit 4 is eating a generally nutrient-dense diet to provide baseline systemic support. And habit 5 is staying socially engaged, which circles back to our earlier point about the brain needing a workout.
Regular conversation forces the auditory cortex to constantly decode complex, overlapping sounds and formulate responses. It keeps the neural pathways thick and efficient.
And then there's the last one.
And then finally, considering targeted nutritional support, like ECHOXEN, acts as a complement to fill in the microscopic gaps that diet and behavior might miss.
So what does this all mean when we step back and look at the big picture? When I look at this toolkit, the text lays out this incredibly fascinating self-perpetuating cycle.
It really is a loop.
Right. Think about the chain reaction here. Healthy inner ear structures support clear auditory signals. Clear signals reduce cognitive listening effort.
Yep.
Extra cognitive energy allows for better communication. Effective communication encourages you to stay socially engaged. Social engagement stimulates the brain and supports emotional wellness.
And it all ties together.
Exactly. And all the while, that same healthy inner ear is simultaneously managing the fluid dynamics that keep you physically balanced, promoting mobility and physical confidence. It's a perfect interconnected loop. Are we essentially concluding that treating your hearing health is actually a core strategy for preventative maintenance and healthy aging?
The clinical observations and the shift in modern research are all pointing unequivocally in that direction. We are finally moving away from the outdated model of looking at the body as a collection of isolated parts that break down independently.
Thank goodness.
The medical and scientific communities increasingly recognize that these systems, sensory, cognitive, emotional, and physical, are inextricably linked.
You literally cannot separate the ear from the brain's energy levels or the brain's energy from your emotional social life.
And this interconnected perspective is why hearing health can no longer be treated as an afterthought or a minor nuisance of getting older. It is a crucial central pillar of any broader conversation about cognitive longevity, physical independence, and maintaining your overall quality of life.
So to bring this all together for you listening right now, today we took a journey from the visible outer ear all the way into the invisible center of your cognitive processing and social life. we learned that hearing is far, far more than just detecting sound.
So much more.
It is physically, anatomically fused to the vestibular system that is keeping you balanced and upright right now as you move through your day. It is tied directly to the cognitive pathways that are managing your mental fatigue and keeping your attention focused. And it is deeply embedded in the social confidence that dictates how you engage with your friends, your family, and your community.
It forces a complete reframing of how we value our senses.
It really does. And the ultimate takeaway from our source material is that by adopting a broader, more proactive view of auditory wellness, whether you achieve that through foundational lifestyle habits like prioritizing cardiovascular activity and sleep, or by exploring targeted nutritional support systems like the liquid delivery of ECHOXEN, you aren't just saving your ability to hear a conversation, you are actively preserving the biological machinery required for a more engaged, mentally clear, and physically confident life.
Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over.
Okay, let's hear it.
We've talked extensively today about how deeply our brain's energy and our physical balance rely on clear, natural auditory signals interacting with our environment. Given that profound biological reality, how might our modern lifestyle, where we constantly plug our ears with headphones, isolate our hearing from the ambient world around us, and expose those delicate microscopic hair cells to continuous, unnatural digital noise, be subtly reshaping our cognitive load and eroding our physical confidence over a lifetime?
Wow, that is definitely something to think about the next time you go to pop in your earbuds to drown out the world. It turns out that volume dial we talked about at the very beginning really is the command center for your entire day. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the source material. Remember to stay curious, and we will catch you next time.